Hello BAM fam, my name is Jenna Morris, one of the creators of Back Alley Mages, and today I'm going to be showing you the basics of setup and how to play. In Back Alley Mages there are three types of cards. The first type of cards are your conjures, also known as the creatures you control. They are easily distinguishable by their different card backs. Each mage brings any three conjures of choice and places them at the front of their field. Note that the center conjure must be what's known as fabled. This is indicated next to their name. The second type of cards are your transmutations. These are generally black and white cards with a normal card back. They are black and white, so they are easy to separate at the end of a match. A mage may bring up to 10 transmutations to a battle. It is important to note that a mage may have up to 3 copies of any card in Back Alley Mages, unless the card is fabled. A mage may only have 1 copy of each fabled card they own. The last type of cards in Back Alley Mages are spells. A spell deck is made of exactly 30 cards. Spells will be full color and have a normal card back. Spells will also have signets to represent cost at the top left of the card. The 4 parts of spells. How to play spells. In Back Alley Mages, spells require dice, also known as knowledge, to be cast. At the top left of each spell, one will find the spell cost. Each of these signets, series of 3 circles, actually represents the die and roll needed to play the spell. There are 2 ways to read the signets of cards to identify the cost to cast spells. First, by color. The top circle represents the color of the die needed to play the spell. The bottom circle represents the dot or pip color of the die needed. The center circle represents the value of the die roll needed. Secondly, by symbol. For those that have difficulty distinguishing colors, they may use the official BAM dice to identify spell cost. The top symbol of a signet may be found on the 6th face of a die. This is known as the house, and the bottom symbol of a signet may be found on the 1 face of a die. This is known as the essence or element of the die. If the top or bottom circle is empty, has no color or symbol, one may use any color or symbol to meet that requirement. This is where deck building begins. Regarding values, you will see ranges, example 1 to 3, individual numbers 1, 2, 6, or an E for even, O for odd, and an A for any value. The effect. Let's take a look at Ignite. This spell requires a pink die with red dots, or a die with a P in the 6th face and a flame in the 1 face. It needs an odd number to be played. If we look at the bottom, we see the effect says deal X damage. If ever a spell reads X, you will use the value of the die used to cast the spell. So in this instance, Ignite will deal 5 damage. The effect of a spell will always be located here. Spell name and spell type. The spell name is always located here. Next to the spell name, we can find the spell type. This tells us where we set the spell in Back Alley Mages. Ignite is an offensive spell and will therefore resolve here in phase 6. Spell limiter. Each round in Back Alley Mages leads to gaining an extra knowledge to roll. Round 1, you will gain and roll 1 die. Round 2, you will gain another die and then roll both of your dice. Round 3, you will gain a 3rd die and roll 3 dice. As the rounds progress, you will have more and more knowledge at your disposal. Spells may have limiters found at the top right of the card. This is a means to slow down when one is able to cast the spell. Firestorm, for example, has a limiter of 6. I will not be able to play Firestorm until I own 6 knowledge or dice. Setup. At the center of all, players place a die to keep track of which round players are on. This is known as the chrono die. It will go from 1 to 6 and then spin back to 1 to represent round 7. Conjures. At the start of the game, you will place your conjures at the front of your field, with a counter on their back equal to the value shown on their card back. This acts as a spawn timer. One cannot summon their conjure until this die is removed. The die will be removed when it is equal to or less than the chrono die. To fully summon your conjure, one must place an available knowledge equal to their cost on the conjure's back. Separate your transmutations and place them here. Place your 30 card spell deck here. The flow of a match. Back Alley Mages is played simultaneously through phases. That means there are no turns but instead simultaneous movement through rounds. At the start of a game, round 1, there is no need to decide who goes first. You simply start phase 1. Phase 1. Draw 5 cards. Players choose a knowledge, dice, to gain based on their hand and deck. Enter expended or used when gained. Players roll expended dice. Phase 2. Players prepare their spells. This is done by placing spells they want to play face down in the spell preparation area. Discard your hand. Phase 3. Players set their spells and knowledge. Players place spells they have prepared in the correct phase with knowledge needed to cast on their back. Players also set and summon conjures in this phase. Phase 4. If mages have spells here, they reveal and resolve them one at a time in resolution order. Spells expend after they have resolved. Phase 5. If mages have spells here, they reveal and resolve them one at a time in resolution order. Spells expend after they have resolved. Phase 6. If mages have spells here, they reveal and resolve them one at a time in resolution order. Spells expend after they have resolved. Phase 7. Clean up fields. Expend any knowledge or spells which are not persistent. For in-depth resolution order, please refer to the beginner's guide found on our website. Mana and its uses. In Back Alley Mages, you will gain mana through the use of spells. Once gained, mana must be used right away. Mana is used to purchase transmutations or activate abilities and effects. The cost of transmutations in mana may be found at the top right of the card. Once bought, you reveal your purchase to your opponent and then add the transmutation to hand. You may play the transmutations as though they are instants or interrupts. You simply play them in the spell preparation and resolve the effect. Once the effect has resolved, the transmutation is added into your expended area. Cycling your deck. Every round during phase 1, you draw 5 cards. Eventually, you will run out of cards. When this happens, simply shuffle your expended spells and then create a new deck. Draw any remainders and then continue through the round normally. If at any point you draw a transmutation, it is free to play without a mana cost. Draw power. When drawing cards throughout phases 4 to 6, you may play spells with any available knowledge so long as it is after the current phase resolution. Simply set the spell with the knowledge required to cast on the spell. If ever you fail to correctly cast a spell because of the knowledge set on the spell will misfire. Simply put, the spell expends and then you take 2 damage for misfiring. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn the basics of Back Alley Mages. Please stay tuned for more about how to play BAM.